above the Conservatives. What's for certain is we now have three parties polling somewhere in the 20s, and we're the ones on the up. Now look, that is out there shared by tens of millions of people. Let me be clear. I don't support street violence. I don't support thuggery in any way at all. So if you take a legal activity and you effectively criminalise it, you hand it literally into the hands of the bad guys.
I didn't come back to politics for myself. I came back because Britain is broken. Nigel Farage's return to the political stage wasn't planned, but as he stood before the cameras confronting Keir Starmer, he exposed a truth many have felt, but few have dared to say. Watch as Farage dismantles Starmer's empty promises on live television, revealing how both Labour and Conservative parties have abandoned everyday Britons. From skyrocketing energy bills to unchecked immigration, this confrontation finally brings to light what mainstream media won't show you. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favour. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now back to the video. Few could have predicted Nigel Farage's dramatic return to the political frontline.
TV station, there's no national newspaper, Belgium is not a nation, and maybe that's why you're happy to sign up to a higher European level.
In doing so, not just do the right thing, but maybe mend some fences between this government and the incoming.
To stepping away from the battlefield to pursue media ventures and business interests, Farage had seemingly closed the chapter on his political career. Yet something pulled him back. Not ambition or personal gain, but a genuine alarm at Britain's accelerating decline, under both Conservative mismanagement and Labour's hollow promises. While building his media presence as a commentator and enjoying commercial success, Farage couldn't ignore the writing on the wall. His recent confrontation with Starmer exposed a fundamental truth. Labour's leadership exists in a bubble, disconnected from the economic realities facing everyday Britons. The most damning evidence? Starmer's cabinet of 25 members doesn't include a single individual who has founded a private company or gained meaningful experience in the business world. How can a government lacking basic entrepreneurial understanding possibly revitalise a struggling economy?
Tax cigarettes to the extent where they're now £35 a packet. So the criminal gangs now don't bother with cocaine. Forget that, cocaine's boring. Cigarettes are very exciting. There were people around him that thought it was the right thing that I came.
I thought you were giving all your time to Clacton now as its newest MP.
Well, I'm allowed to come to America on a trip like this, particularly in these circumstances.
This question haunted Farage as he watched from the sidelines, eventually compelling his return to the political arena. His decision struck a chord with disillusioned voters across the country, evidenced by Reform UK's membership explosion, surging from a modest 25,000 to an astonishing 220,000 members in a remarkably short period. These numbers tell the story of a public fed up with traditional parties that have lost touch with their concerns. Farage's symbolic choice of a bright yellow JCB construction vehicle for campaign appearances wasn't mere political theatre. It represented his vision for rebuilding Britain from its foundations. The imagery resonated powerfully. While establishment politicians talk in abstractions from Westminster offices, Farage aligned himself with the tools of practical reconstruction and the working people who operate them. The televised confrontation between Farage and Starmer brought this disconnect into sharp focus. When Farage directly challenged the Prime Minister on his cabinet's business credentials, Starmer's uncomfortable response spoke volumes. Name one member of your cabinet who's founded a private company, Farage demanded.
20 years as an MEP, but it's not quite the same link or same responsibility with constituents. I will do my absolute best to put Clacton on the map. Those communities have little faith or trust or belief that government can make their lives better. Indeed, what I found knocking on doors were people saying, we want to work.
The ensuing silence became deafening as viewers witnessed firsthand the gap between Labour's economic rhetoric and the practical experience needed to deliver on it. This moment crystallised the core problem. How can a government with no first-hand knowledge of business creation, job generation, or meeting payroll possibly lead an economic recovery? Farage exposed not just a lack of business acumen, but a fundamental misunderstanding of the engines that drive prosperity. The stark reality of Labour's broken promises came into sharp focus when Farage squared off against Starmer in their televised confrontation. Beyond exposing the government's business inexperience, Farage delivered his most devastating blow when he confronted Starmer with the painful contradiction in Labour's energy policy. The numbers spoke for themselves. Labour had campaigned on a promise to reduce energy bills by £300 per year. Yet within weeks of taking office, households faced the exact opposite, an increase of £300. This perfect inversion of their pledge left Starmer visibly uncomfortable as he struggled to explain away this financial betrayal of British families. But the energy bill fiasco was merely the opening salvo in Farage's methodical dismantling of Labour's credibility. With precision and evidence, he turned to immigration, a subject where Labour's words and actions stood in stark contrast.
Sound organisation on the ground, right across Wales, and it's from that we can support our candidate.
That give us in a few years' time the kind of government we need to turn round the decline in this country. Don't just think Elon or Nick Candy are going to save us.
Farage presented the undeniable figure that net migration had reached 1 million people in 2023 alone. This staggering statistic threw into sharp relief the Conservative Party's unfulfilled 2010 promise to reduce these numbers to tens of thousands. Yet rather than offering a meaningful alternative, Labour had simply continued the pattern of empty rhetoric, while migration numbers soared. What resonated with viewers wasn't just the content of Farage's critique, but his refreshingly direct approach. In a political landscape dominated by evasion and spin, his willingness to cite specific figures and confront policy failures head-on offered a rare moment of clarity. He didn't dress up failures in bureaucratic language or offer qualified half-truths. He presented the raw facts that both establishment parties had tried to obscure. At the heart of reform, UK's alternative vision lies a bold proposal that distinguished Farage's approach from the recycled promises of mainstream politicians. His plan to withdraw from the European Court of Human Rights represents not just a policy position.
Law and order, folks, on our streets is breaking down. This Prime Minister hasn't got an earthly clue how to deal with it.
The days of this project are over. We want to live in nation states, not false, artificial creations.
But a fundamental shift in perspective, putting control of Britain's borders and laws back in British hands. Leaving the ECHR will give Britain back control over its laws and borders, Farage stated during the confrontation, offering a concrete solution rather than vague assurances. This commitment to sovereignty resonated with viewers who had grown weary of watching both Conservative and Labour governments surrender decision-making power to external bodies while blaming forces beyond their control for domestic problems. Farage's message was clear. The problems facing ordinary Britons, from rising energy costs to overburdened public services, stemmed not from unavoidable global forces, but from a political class that had abandoned its responsibility to put British interests first.
You must do what we tell you to do. Yes, I mean, Rishi Sunak's plans were completely mad, that in 10 years' time a 25-year-old could buy a smoke and a 24-year-old couldn't.
Tories have failed us completely, betrayed us completely. Labour are utterly hopeless. You all know the country's going down the tubes.
What we're witnessing isn't merely political sparring, it's a fundamental reshaping of British democracy. Reform UK's remarkable surge reflects a population fed up with the stale offerings of established parties. Farage has tapped into something powerful, a cross-sectional movement cutting across traditional demographics, uniting people regardless of age, profession, or background. This isn't just about immigration or economic policy, it's about representation itself. As voters increasingly feel neither Labour nor Conservatives speak for them, Reform UK offers an alternative that acknowledges their concerns. The question now is whether this challenge to the political duopoly will force meaningful change, or whether the establishment will unite to preserve its grip on power.